Good evening, you are tuning in to AWANI Tonight with me, Farhana Sheikh. Sarawak to have its own boutique airline if GPS wins. And is it time for the healthcare sector to go digital? That's coming up. The government will identify 50 localities in mid-December for the first phase of the poverty eradication program using the whole-of-nation approach. Minister in charge of economy, Dr. Sri Mustafa Muhammad, said the programs in these localities is expected to commence in March next year. He said each locality will be verified at the end of the year, before programs are formulated based on the needs of each locality in January and tabling to the Cabinet in February next year.
Pelaksanaan pendekatan baru ini akan dipantau setiap 3 bulan sekali bagi memastikan intervensi yang berkesan sekiranya pencapaian kurang memuaskan. Selain daripada 50 lokaliti yang terpilih ini, program sedia ada bagi kelompok dan keluarga miskin lain di seluruh negara akan diteruskan.
He was replying to a question from Tanjung Malim MP Chah Ling Kang on the action taken by the government to eradicate hardcore poor by 2025, as stated in the 12th Malaysia Plan. Hardcore poor is defined as households earning RM1,169 per month and below, based on the cost of purchasing basic food for households with 4 family members. The Health Ministry plans to table new legislation regulating e-cigarettes and vaping products in the first Dewan Rakyat meeting next year. In a written reply, Health Minister Khairy Jamaluddin said the new act will enable more comprehensive controls, especially on new emerging smoking products. He said the updated bill will also cover the controls of all conventional smoking products, namely cigarettes and other tobacco products. Cigarettes and tobacco products are currently regulated under the Control of Tobacco Product Regulations 2004 under the Food Act of 1983. The government had announced during the tabling of Budget 2022 that e-cigarette and vape liquids containing nicotine would be taxed despite the call from anti-tobacco groups to ban the products completely. Digitalisation of healthcare has been talked about for a long time, but the COVID-19 pandemic has accelerated adoption by years. Malaysia has the opportunity to close the gaps in healthcare, but it needs more investment in digitalising the sector. We speak to Comscope's Dr. Alpa Turkin.
In Asia, we have 1.2 doctors for 1,000 citizens. This is slightly better in Malaysia. It's around 2.2 per 1,000 citizens. But if you compare this with Europe, for example, we have 4. And if you look at countries like Switzerland, Israel, it's even higher. So we can always improve the services by having more doctors, building more infrastructure and hospitals. But there is an opportunity, I think, leveraging connectivity and digital services to have better access to healthcare services.
Alper said the large allocation for healthcare in Budget 2022 and the government's push in developing 5G network will help pave the way for a more digitalized healthcare system.
I think there is an opportunity to build an integrated strategy to improve both connectivity as well as healthcare-related services. There are different stages of digitization of services. Obviously, symptom check type of services are very useful in a pandemic area. People don't prefer to be in a hospital or in a doctor in a pandemic environment. If these can be addressed remotely, I think it's better for everyone. This can be integrated with teleconsultation services. If e-prescription type of services could be implemented, this then could be integrated into e-pharmacy type of services. So significant part of the healthcare service could be digitized.
Metaverse, he noted, can potentially be a game changer in healthcare.
A big discussion point nowadays is metaverse and what will happen in the metaverse, AR, VR. Again, this is taught a lot in connection with entertainment, in connection with social media, but we need to think about digital healthcare in connection with this augmented reality, virtual reality type of applications as well. So I think the potential is significant, and over the next decade, the developments will be quite dramatic. It has the potential to make a significant impact to our lives. I think the earlier we develop holistic strategies to take advantage of these new potentials, I think the sooner and the better people have access to the services that they need. And healthcare is really at the core of these possibilities, in my opinion.
Plans are underway for Sarawak to establish its own boutique airline, says Chief Minister Tan Sri Abang Johari Openg. He said this airline, which will be available for business and leisure travel, will be parked under Hornbill Skyways, the established regional charter air service in the state. According to him, through this airline, Sarawak will be able to penetrate to hubs that are important for tourism, such as Singapore, Kuala Lumpur, Jakarta, Bangkok and Hong Kong. Abang Johari also added that the Sarawak government's plans to set up its own airline was not an empty promise, as they will definitely implement this if given the mandate after the polls scheduled on December 18th. Although Bersatu has stated its intention to not contest in the upcoming 12th Sarawak state election, the party intends to support Gabungan Parti Sarawak in campaigning during the election. Bersatu Secretary General Dato Sri Hamzah Zainuddin said since they have been working together since the day they took over the federal government, it is nothing wrong for Bersatu to lend their support to GPS. Bersatu and Barisan Nasional have stated that they are not going to fill candidates in the upcoming polls. The Election Commission has set December 18th as the polling day for the Sarawak state election and December 6th for nominations, while early voting is on December 14th. We'll take a short break. Stay with us.
Bolehkah rambut rosak dibaiki dalam masa 1 minit? Mewarna, mengering dan melurus merosakkan rambut. Perapi serum 1 minit Dove diperkaya dengan serum keratin berkesan dalam 1 minit untuk membaiki sehingga 96% rambut rosak. Perapi serum 1 minit Dove.
Nikmati penjimatan 50% dengan penyelesaian penyagaan Unify. Dengan Microsoft 365, kolaborasi dengan pelanggan. Kongsi hasil kerja terbaik dan urus semua keperluan penyagaan anda. Layari unify.com.my/SME Grant hari ini.
To run a growing business is to be on a journey. And along the ride, you'll have many questions, challenges, and a few surprises. But wherever you are on your journey, your Dell Technologies advisor is here for you with the right tech solutions, so you can stop at nothing for your customers.
Anda boleh menghantar segera, sentiasa menepati masa dan bajet anda. Dari motosikal ke lori, dari kereta sedan ke truk pick-up, dari mana-mana anda berada ke destinasi impian. Setiap penat lelah pasti berakhir dengan senyuman. Kami sentiasa di sini untuk penghantaran yang lebih baik. Muat turun aplikasi Lala Move hari ini. Dapatkan kupon dengan potongan harga 50% dengan kod promo Lala Move It.
Welcome back. The court in Myanmar delayed the announcement of a highly anticipated verdict against the country's ousted civilian leader, Aung San Suu Kyi, who is facing a series of rulings that could keep her locked up for the rest of her life. The Nobel laureate has been detained since the generals ousted her government in the early hours of February 1st, ending the Southeast Asian country's brief democratic interlude. The court was expected to deliver the first verdict on inciting public unrest on Tuesday, but the judge adjourned the case until next month, according to a source familiar with the proceedings. It was unclear why the judge announced the delay. More than 1,200 people have been killed and over 10,000 arrested in a crackdown on dissent, according to a local monitoring group. Suu Kyi faces 3 years in prison if found guilty of incitement against the military, although analysts say it is unlikely she will be taken away to jail today. Journalists have been barred from proceedings in a special court in the military-built capital Naypyidaw, and Suu Kyi's lawyers were recently banned from speaking to the media. The courtroom will remain off-limits to reporters for the verdict. Junta spokesman Zaw Min Tun was reportedly quoted. New Zealand's opposition has announced a new leader, former airline boss Christopher Luxon, after its leader Judith Collins was ousted last week. The National Party emerged from its caucus meeting to announce Luxon, a political novice, as the person entrusted to take the party's helm. He will be National's fifth leader in as many years and will work alongside Deputy Nicola Willis. Luxon promised a new era for the National Party, which has spent much of its recent years embroiled in leadership battles and minor scandals and plagued by bleak polling.
Now, I guess much has been made of my relative newness to Parliament, but to be honest, I see it as an advantage. I bring a fresh set of eyes, and what I see is that this place and this country needs a real shake-up. Yes, I might make some mistakes along the way, and I think that's actually good. But what is good is actually that we have a team that is actually backing us up with complementary skills.
A growing list of countries have imposed fresh travel restrictions as the new COVID-19 variant, Omicron, begins spreading rapidly to Europe, Asia and North America. Japan and Australia today announced new cases of the variant in its population, raising alarm on the much-talked-about variant. Japan begins barring entry to all foreigners at midnight, while Singapore freezed all new vaccinated travel lanes and paused relaxation on social measures. While border closures by more countries will damper economic recovery from the two-year pandemic, US President Joe Biden said the strain is not a cause for panic and did not foresee new lockdowns or extended travel restrictions in the United States. The sentiment is echoed by Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison, declaring the country will not go back to lockdowns due to Omicron. The World Health Organization said yesterday that the variant first detected in South Africa carries a very high risk of infection surges, but said no deaths had yet been linked to the new variant. WHO added that it also remains unclear how infectious and how resistant the strain may prove to vaccines. The Caribbean island of Barbados waved goodbye to Queen Elizabeth II as head of state as it cut ties with its colonial past and became a republic for the first time in history. It came a month after the Parliament of the former British colony, once nicknamed Little England, elected its first ever president in a two-thirds majority vote, following a push to become a republic that began in the 1990s. Barbados Governor General Sandra Mason, who was appointed by the Queen, was sworn in as president shortly after midnight on Tuesday, which marked the island's 55th year of independence from Britain.
For the formation of Republic Barbados, out of the structure of independent Barbados, is ultimately a call to greatness, the greatness which was contemplated by our forefathers and enshrined in the lyrics of our national anthem. Answering this call requires of us an act of will and deliberate action, the determination to build and improve upon what existed before, and the unwavering resolve to safeguard our national reputation and advance the national interests of Barbados.
The most high-profile guest at the ceremony was Prince Charles, who arrived on Sunday in Barbados, an island of more than 300,000 people and one of the wealthier nations in the Caribbean, dependent on tourism, manufacturing and finance. COP26 highlighted the deep divisions between the global north versus developing global south. Can there be justice for the countries least responsible for the climate crisis but suffering most from its effects? Tonight on Consider This, Melissa Idris speaks to Mina Rahman from Sahabat Alam, Malaysia. That is all we have for you on AWANI tonight. Get the latest news update on COVID-19 and COVID-19 vaccines from astroawani.com and the Astro AWANI app. I'm Farhana Sheikh. We'll see you again.